After choosing to leave the love of his life, Jack Campbell now enjoys his best bachelor life as a Wall Street executive. After a chance encounter on Christmas Eve, he gets a glimpse of what his life could have been. As he walks a mile in his own shoes in the alternate reality, he realizes what truly matters to him. In 1987, Jack Campbell kisses his college girlfriend Kate Reynolds goodbye before he flies to London, where he will take on an internship with Barclays for a year. Before Jack boards the plane, Kate tearfully tries to convince him to stay and start their life together. He assures her that their love will stand the test of time and that 1 year apart will fly by. While Jack believes that his plan to leave will benefit them as a couple, Kate thinks that it's better if they stay together. 13 years later, on a Christmas Eve, Jack is now a self-absorbed bachelor who enjoys a comfortable life in his penthouse as P.K. Lassiter and Company's president in Wall Street, New York. He spent the night with one of the many beautiful women his high societal position attracts. Before going to work, Jack rides the elevator with Betty Peterson, whom he casually flirts with, but the older woman jokingly turns down his advances. As Jack exits the building, he strikes up a quick conversation with Tony, a member of the hotel staff. After driving to work in his Ferrari, Jack holds a conference as he is putting together a multi-billion-dollar merger. He then plans a meeting for Christmas Day instead of encouraging his staff members, especially Alan Mintz, to spend the holiday with their families. When Jack returns to his office, his assistant Adele follows him and hands him a note regarding his ex-girlfriend Kate Reynolds calling him up. Jack, however, stops Adele while she is dialing Kate's number, acting aloof and uninterested about Kate's out-of-the-blue call. Suddenly, his boss and mentor, Peter Lassiter, walks in and discusses work matters with Jack, urging him to prioritize his job over a visit with his aunt. Jack then inquires as to Peter's thoughts on an ex-girlfriend suddenly contacting him more than a decade later, to which Peter replies that it's one of those things that he should just let go. Jack leaves the building and decides to walk home. While he is buying eggnog at a convenience store, Cash talks to the store clerk, claiming to have a winning ticket worth $238. However, the clerk accuses Cash of giving him a fraudulent ticket and refuses to cash it out. Annoyed, Cash takes out a gun, but just before he pulls the trigger on the clerk, Jack steps in to de-escalate the situation and offers to buy the ticket from him for $200. After settling their business deal outside, Jack tries to help Cash, assuming that he needs psychological and financial assistance. When Cash asks him what he needs, Jack responds that he already has everything he could ever want, to which the criminal replies that he brought it all on himself. Confused about Cash's statement, Jack goes home, and since he has no one to celebrate Christmas Eve with, he dozes off alone in bed. On Christmas morning, Jack wakes up to Kate in New Jersey and is surprised to find that they have 2 children together, Annie and Josh. Baffled, Jack immediately goes downstairs, where he runs into Lorraine and Ed, Kate's parents. After finding out that he doesn't have a Ferrari, he tries to borrow his father-in-law's Cadillac so he can travel to New York, but Ed hands him the keys to their minivan instead. As Jack enters the building to get to his penthouse, Tony and Betty don't seem to recognize him and think he's a homeless man having a nervous breakdown. He then proceeds to his office building, but the receptionist doesn't recognize him and informs him that the building is closed for the day. He is even more surprised when he finds out that Alan Mintz is the president of Lassiter and Company. Slowly realizing that his life is different, Jack rushes out to the streets and suddenly sees Cash, who is now driving his Ferrari. Later, Cash vaguely explains that what Jack is experiencing is a glimpse that he needs to figure out for himself. He then gives the perplexed man a bicycle bell and abandons him on the street. Left with no choice, Jack drives back to New Jersey. When he's unable to locate his house, he asks Arnie for directions, but the man recognizes him as a close friend and invites him into the house. After telling Jack that Kate has been looking for him all day, he guides him back to the house he shares with Kate. Inside, Kate expresses her extreme worry about Jack leaving without telling her his whereabouts, to which she attempts to explain that he's not really the Jack she knows. As Kate dismisses Jack's strange statement, Jack uses the bicycle bell, hoping it will do something, but it only summons Annie to the room, thinking that the bell is his Christmas gift to her. After Kate asks Jack to prepare for an upcoming Christmas party, Annie walks into the room and stares at her father, but she quickly runs down the stairs after noticing that something's off about him. Kate and Jack arrive at the Thompson residence for the party. Evelyn flirts with Jack, who is unsure if there's anything going on between them. Later, Later, Jack overhears Kate's conversation with her friends and realizes that her wife is a non-profit lawyer, which slightly disappoints him. The next morning, Jack wakes up to Josh's crying, and Kate reminds him that it's his day to look after the children. Hence, Jack changes Josh's diaper, as Annie instructs him from a distance. Realizing that the Jack she sees is not really her dad, Annie confronts him. After concluding that Jack is just a replication made by aliens, she happily welcomes him to Earth. Shortly after, Jack drops Josh and Annie off at daycare and school. As per Annie's instructions, Jack heads to Big Ed's Tires, where he works as a tire salesman. When Jack reaches the store, he finds out that he has a private office filled with his daughter's drawings and pictures of their family, the complete opposite of the one he had on Wall Street. That evening, Jack watches the news and becomes enraged after witnessing Alan's multi-billion-dollar deal. Suddenly, Kate walks in and attempts to make love to him. He takes a good look at her face and tells her how beautiful she is. While Kate changes into a flattering nightgown, Jack pretends to be asleep. The next morning, the Campbell family goes to the shopping mall, where Jack sees an expensive suit that reminds him of his comfortable former life. When Kate says they can't afford a $2,400 suit, he proceeds to blame her for him having to give up his dreams, to which she responds that the Jack she married is not a fan of the lavish life. As they are driving home, Jack apologizes to Kate for his behavior at the mall. The couple has a conversation in which Jack discovers that Ed had a heart attack, pushing him to take a job at the tire store to help his father-in-law out. The following day, Jack spends his time at the bowling alley with his friends. Suddenly, he sees Evelyn, who later confirms his suspicions that she's wanted them to have an affair for years. Later, he confides in Arnie, who talks some sense into him, discouraging him from even thinking about cheating on Kate. Arnie tells him that any man in their town would be so lucky to have Kate for a wife. After arriving home, Jack plays a VHS tape of him singing to Kate on her birthday. As he watches, he realizes that he never stopped loving her after all. The next morning, Kate surprises Jack with a wedding anniversary gift, a knockoff suit similar to the one he was trying on at the mall. However, Jack, who is unaware that it is their anniversary, doesn't have anything planned. As Jack prepares Annie's chocolate milk, he finds out that the real Jack does something special every year for their wedding anniversary. Realizing that he can still surprise her, Jack decides to take Kate to an expensive restaurant in the city, where they later have an intimate conversation that makes him appreciate family life more. They end the night with champagne, and Jack is relieved he was able to make up for forgetting their special day. The next morning, Jack now feels more comfortable about being a dad. At work, he encounters Peter Lassiter, his former boss and mentor, who needs his tires replaced. While waiting for the older man's car to be fixed, Jack shares his opinion about the deal they brokered, which impresses Peter, who invites him to their Wall Street office to meet with him and Alan Mintz, the current company president. During the meeting, Jack tries to impress Peter and Alan with his knowledge about them, proving that his people skills can be an asset to the company, which later convinces Peter to offer him a job. When they are alone, Alan aggressively confronts Jack for his attempt to convince Peter to employ him. Instead of fighting back, Jack applauds Alan for finally being assertive, contrary to the meek Alan he used to know. Later, Jack takes Kate to the penthouse, a perk he gets for working for the company. After Jack reveals that he has a new job, Kate doesn't take it well, claiming that Jack's new career can be detrimental to the family life they have happily built. Back at home, Jack discovers his 1987 plane ticket to London, revealing that he did board the plane, but he came back the next day to be with Kate. After reflecting on her previous decision, Kate tells Jack that she is willing to support him on his new career venture, despite the changes it will bring to their family life. She says it doesn't matter where they'll live as long as they're happy and together. The following day, keeping Kate's selfless decision in mind, Jack turns down the job offer and chooses to stay with his family in the suburbs. Later, Jack goes to the store to buy some salt for the driveway, when he suddenly sees Cash, who is the store clerk. Content with the life he has with Kate and his kids, Jack tells Cash not to take him back. However, Cash reminds him that a glimpse is not a permanent thing, implying that he will be returning to his real life soon. When Jack gets home, he takes one last look at his family before leaving forever. He then tells Kate to remember him the way that he currently is. The next morning, Jack awakens in his penthouse on Christmas morning. Realizing that he is back in his real life, he drives to New Jersey, only to find that Kate doesn't live in the same residence. While Jack is driving back, a Adele calls to inform him that he is late for the merger meeting. He then arrives at the conference room, where Alan Mintz panics because their deal is at risk. Jack, who is almost uninterested in the money, reassures his team that he will fly to Aspen to fix the problem. Before going on his business trip, Jack gets Kate's address and decides to pay her a visit. He discovers that she is a prestigious lawyer and that she will be moving to Paris because their office is opening a firm there. He also discovers that she never got married, which makes him a little hopeful. Jack tries to invite Kate for a cup of coffee, but she hands him a box of his old stuff, which is the reason why she called his office in the first place. He then asks her if she ever thought about what they could have been together, but instead of answering, she tells him that they can have their coffee date in Paris someday. Jack leaves Kate's place, but instead of flying to Aspen, he goes back to his penthouse to open the box containing his old stuff. When he opens a book, he sees a picture of them as a couple, which motivates him to drive to the airport to prevent the love of his life from leaving. Jack dashes through the airport and luckily catches Kate before she boards, a direct inverse of their interaction 13 years ago. Jack invites Kate for a cup of coffee, but she interprets this as his need for closure. Kate admits she was heartbroken back then when he chose to leave, but she has already moved on and suggests he do the same. Before Kate finally boards, Jack cries from a distance, and as he walks towards her, he describes a glimpse of the life they had together: a house in Jersey, 2 beautiful children, and their passionate love for each other, even after 13 years of marriage. Stunned by Jack's confession, a tearful Kate finally accepts his coffee date offer, implying that their love may still have a chance after all.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.